Welcome all of you once again. Here today is how to organize or how to present or maybe how to create or deliver a presentation. So it's a presentation about a presentation. So you can say maybe metadata, if some of you may have heard, right? So it's presentation about presentation. We all have to present things during our work, during our lives, right? So all of us may not be trainers, but that's okay. But we do present reports, we do present our findings, we do create thumbnails, posters, videos, right? So in a way, we are presenting and speaking out our point loud to our colleagues, to our bosses, to our seniors, juniors, everywhere, right? So the art of presentation is one of a key one to learn. And it's a part of communication, right? So communication is a must for all of us. So let's just dive right in. And as I said, today in today's session, you will be learning how to create a presentation and how to deliver a presentation nicely. Obviously, this is quite a delicate art, and public speaking or delivering a presentation, they are all closely intertwined together. But in this session, we will focus specifically on the art of presentation using the means of slides like we're doing right now. But yes, communication, a big pillar, big umbrella. Then under communication, there are a lot of things: written communication, verbal communication, body language, and so on. Then under written communication, also there are multiple branches like business communication and social communication and let's say copywriting and authoring and fiction and non-fiction and so on. Under business writing, there is one part where this is business presentation, or you can say when you deliver something to make a point across. So in our presentations, as you all know, we try to cover one topic in each session. So the idea with presentation here is people have come to listen to you. Okay, so talk to them, not at them. लोगों पे नहीं चिल्लाना है, लोगों को नहीं, लोगों को मत बात करो, है ना, लोगों से बात करो, right? So that's the point. Generally, if you see a lot of TED talks, so the idea is people have come to listen to you. So whenever I talk of presentation, that means there is one speaker or presenter or trainer, okay, and there is the other side, there is the audience. So it's a two-way communication. Okay, it's not a one-way communication, although it may appear so, but it is a two-way communication. Presenter is speaking while the audience is absorbing, showing feedback, showing their participation by waving of their hands or movement of their eyes and hand gestures and body language, and obviously feedback and Q&A and so on, right? So it's a two-way communication. Now people have come to listen to you. Talk to them, not at them. At them matlab unko, don't consider them as static sculptures, right? Don't, so they, people in the session or audience in your session are alive. So they are live audience, right? So you talk to them, understand their problems, look at them, make eye contact, ask questions, and so on. Okay, this is just one good quote, one good point to get us started. Now, as I said, there is not much here. It's about 7 golden essential rules of a good presentation. So there are 7 nice rules that we will cover one by one quickly, which will encompass or cover the art of good presentation. So let's get started with these 7 golden rules of a good presentation. Let's start with the first one. Okay, so we talked a little bit about audience already, right? So know your audience. Very important. So if someone is going to deliver a session to CEOs and he doesn't know about it, what will happen? Or if someone is going to deliver a session to the poor kids in an NGO, and if he doesn't know about it, she doesn't know about it, what will happen? And if someone is delivering a session to, let's say, middle-age, midlife crisis businessmen, right, or businesswomen, what will happen? So each of these audiences is completely different. CEOs may need to hear something else, while poor kids at NGO may want to hear something else completely, and middle-age crisis people would want to hear something else. In this way, each of your audiences may be different. Okay, you may be delivering the same session. Okay, you may be talking about the same topic, so and so, to different people, but it will be tailored to your audience. तो वैसा का वैसा रटा हुआ बोल देंगे ऐसा नहीं है ना, ऑडियंस पे डिपेंड करता है. तो आप किससे बात करें, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो यू हैव टू नो देम. हाउ विल यू नो देम? You have to inquire, right? So some of these simple questions, we all talk about these 5 WH questions, right? Who, what, where, when, and which. Ask these questions to yourself or to your organizer. If you are asked to deliver a session someplace else, ask these questions. तो आपको पूछना है कौन आएगा वहां पे, मुझे बताओ. What is expected? What question? Where is the session going to be delivered? Is it a very big auditorium which can seat 10,000 people, or is it just a very claustrophobic small hall where you may be wanting to catch your breath, or whether it is be held on a rooftop open terrace, or whether it is going to be held in an open street garden type audience. So it may be different places. Who question, what question, where, obviously, and when, the timing. Okay, so don't deliver a session just after lunch. Don't deliver a session in the night, right? So there will be times that may be suitable for when people may be more fresh. If the time is a morning people may feel fresh in your session. On the contrary, if it's a morning time, people may also be busy with their work, right? So there is a delicate balance here. Then second point, create an outline and story to catapult the point across, right? So don't deliver haphazardly. Don't deliver unprepared. Okay. You should know about the topic a little bit. If not more, yeah, the more the better, definitely. The more you have researched, learned, spoken about that topic already, the more you are an expert, the flawless you are going to be. But you still have to prepare a little bit. Prepare an outline. Prepare a story. How you are going to deliver your message. एक outline रखो, एक major outline रहेगा आपका, एक headline होगा, एक outline होगा, एक story होगा, which will throw the message, which will catapult the message point to the audience. It will reach their hearts, their minds, and it will settle there. Okay, you will be able to connect to them with the help of a story and an outline. Outline means a broad structure. So let's see more points and things will get more and more clear. So we understood about a little bit about audience. Now let's see. Second point is, second golden rule is keep things simple and on target. So इसमें दो point आ गए. One is to keep it simple. Simple, we all know, right? So don't keep it complex. Don't tell complex stories. Don't use technical jargons. Don't talk the language that audience doesn't understand. If the audience is Spanish, don't talk in French. Use the language of the audience. Not only literal language, like the examples we heard, but the language also means their dialect, their cultural nuances, the things that they understand, the jokes that they will understand, the stories that will relate to them, and so on. Don't give one thing to the other kind of audience. Okay, keep them simple and on target. Okay, let's read these points and it will clarify us, help us clarify this topic. Start with specific written objectives and a strategy. How will you keep things simple? You will have your good headline. You will have a structure. In that structure, you will write now these specific written objectives. What are specific written objectives? These are the objectives that you want to achieve in the session. Session could be there or presentation could be there for various reasons. One reason is to informing the broader audience. That is one reason. Okay. Another reason is to educate, like to teach, to mentor. Another reason or another purpose of a presentation session could be entertainment. And another reason, fourth one maybe could be the reason of a presentation is getting a decision from the public. तो ये चार reasons हो गए presentation करने की. But so you may have your own objectives. तो आपका जो purpose है यहाँ पर, whatever it is, it may be education, it may be entertainment, write them out. What is my objective? And a strategy. Strategy means the tactics or the ideas or nuances or twists in your story. Twist आता है ना, कहानी में U-turn आता है, twist आता है. Strategy is nothing but the twist. Okay, let's see the next point here and things will become more clear. A simple, easy to remember theme that gives your session unity and direction. ठीक है, तो एक थीम की बात भी आ गई यहाँ पे. What does theme do? Theme creates a unity. बर्थडे थीम होता है, हम सबको पता है. हेलोवीन थीम होता है, पार्टीज का थीम होता है, राइट? ऑफिस पार्टीज का भी थीम होता है. What does theme do? A theme or a background theme creates a sense of coherence. It create a sense of unity. It creates a sense of mystery element, a wonder element. Then use headline to state the theme. ठीक है, तो headline होना चाहिए very powerful. Headline should be very powerful and it should state the theme. Okay, so headline should be connected to your theme, the headline that you will be using. Let's go to the third point. Tell your audience where you are going. नहीं तो पूरा सेशन हो गया और ऑडियंस को कुछ पता ही नहीं चला. Some people were sleeping, some people were snoring, some people were joking, some people left out, right? And so on. Some people did not understand at all, although they were present. So ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. Okay. So the idea is to keep it interactive. The idea is to loop them along with you. Let's read the points and it will give us more clarity. Show an agenda that lists the main points. So this all of us are aware. Like this is like the index table, or this is like the table of contents, or this is like what you will learn today slide, right? We typically also have these kind of slides, especially if it's a big session. Yes, this slide is a must because audience should know the broader scope of the presentation. The audience should know where we will start, how we will go along, how we will take this ride together, and then where we will end and what we will learn at the end of the day, right? So show an agenda. If there is no slide of agenda, still talk about it. you can tell them broadly that this is my agenda. This is how I'm going to cover the topics. Then describe the structure and say how long will it take. And especially say how long will it take. Otherwise, people will be bored out, right? So people may have thought about a 30-minute presentation, but if you take 1 hour, they may be bored to death. So don't do that. If the session is of 1 hour, talk about, basically tell the audience that it is going to take 1 hour. And then what is the third point? Prepare a presentation book that you can distribute so you can have their full attention during the session. Okay. So इस sessions में क्या होता है? देखो, typically there are two things, right? You have verbal input coming out. So there is a speaker. So you are getting verbal inputs. ठीक है? तो मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ? That is one stream of content you are getting. There is another stream of content that is visual. ठीक है? Visual helps to learn better, obviously. That is there. But then what happens? Sometimes we get hooked onto the slide. Sometimes we get hooked onto the voice. और वो कभी इधर उधर स्विच करने में ना यू मिस आउट द पॉइंट्स. ये सब कंफ्यूजन जो होता है ना, विजुअल और वर्बल के बीच में जो ऑडियंस अटकते हैं, कंफ्यूजन होता है. इसके लिए हम क्या करते हैं? टिपिकली इन लॉट ऑफ गुड प्रेजेंटेशंस दे विल डिस्ट्रीब्यूट द स्लाइड्स लेटर ऑन और मे बी इवन बिफोर द प्रेजेंटेशन. तो प्रेजेंटेशन शुरू हो रहा है, समझो 10 स्लाइड है, 10 स्लाइड का प्रिंट ले लिया एंड आपको एक एक दे दिया. सो दैट प्रेजेंटेशन शुरू होने से पहले ही आपने देख लिया 5-10 मिनट बैठ के 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 these are the 20 slides. And obviously then you are not bothered looking at the slides. You are more paying time to the speaker. Speaker is not going to repeat that session for you maybe, right? So pay more attention to the speaker, less attention to the slide. Do everything that's been asked for and a little more. तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि आप हमेशा whatever जो आपसे पूछा गया है उतना करो, उससे थोड़ा सा ज्यादा करो. This is like X+1. So if people have a topic and they want to learn about a topic and you're delivering a presentation, exceed their expectations. This simply means exceed the audience's expectations. थोड़ा सा उसमें अपनी तरफ से element add कर. Add something that will be a little extra miler, like a bonus gift for the audience. है ना? ऐसा हो जाता है ना, हम लोग बहुत खुश होते हैं, सरप्राइज कुछ मिल जाता है तो we were not anticipating. हम किसी पार्टी में जाते हैं और एक रिटर्न गिफ्ट मिलता है. We are much more happy, right? पार्टी भी हो गई, गिफ्ट भी मिल गया, something like that. Let's see the fourth point now. Talk about them, not about yourself. So this point is also about audience. Talk about the audience, not about yourself. No one is interested to hear what speaker is interested in. Sometimes speaker will tell their own story, right? Sometimes speaker will basically narrate or dictate or talk about some new stories, which is okay. See, stories will be good to carry a point across. Even if it may so happen, definitely speaker may share his or her own life experiences also with you. But don't do it to the point that you will bore the audience. If the speaker tends to talk more about himself or herself in an exquisite detail, that may not prove the point, right? The session may become a boring one, right? So talk to audience and talk about them, most importantly, not about yourself. Let's see the points here on the slide, the detailed one, and it will make more clear. Forget about your credentials. ठीक है? तो खुद को अनाउंस मत करो कि आई एम सो एंड सो, इसका राजा, उसका राजा, इतने कंपनीज का ओनर, बिलियनर, so. See, you have come to a session to learn something or to be entertained or to be informed, right, of some good points. You are not here, or audience is not here to hear in great detail just the credentials of the speaker. That will not work. So forget about it. तो यहाँ तो क्या बताया गया है कि forget about it. Forget about मतलब आपका इंट्रोडक्शन ही छोड़ दो, right? लास्ट में इंट्रोड्यूस करो, पूरा सेशन दे दो पहले. Maybe you introduce in the last. If someone asks who are you, the session was good, may I know your good name, and then you share your name in very humblest detail. And present everything possible in terms of benefit to the audience, right? So whatever material you have, first of all, we learned that you have to tailor it to the audience. Suppose you see a lot of people who are depressed in the session and you're talking about depression management or stress management. You can ask some of the volunteers. You can make sure that the people who had a long face when the session started, they should leave the session with a happy face. That should be your goal. Let's go to the next point now. Think headlines, not labels. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Let's drill a little deeper. Talk in terms of headlines. तो देखो, लेबल और हेडलाइन ये दोनों एक्चुअली सिनोनिमस है. तो ये जल्दी समझ में नहीं आता, जल्दी से पकड़ नहीं आएगा. लेबल को हेडलाइन भी बोलते हैं, हेडलाइन को लेबल भी बोलते हैं. लेबल इज ऑल्सो नथिंग बट अ हेडलाइन फॉर समथिंग, राइट? आपने कोई चार्ट बनाया, कोई बुक लिखा, उसका एक लेबल हो सकता है. बट लेबल और हेडलाइन में डिफरेंस क्या है? लेबल इज अ नॉर्मल लेबल. इट कुड बी एनी टेक्स्ट, इट कुड बी जस्ट इंग्लिश विच इज ग्रामेटिकली करेक्ट, उतना काफी है, बस कुछ भी रहेगा. तो आपके प्रेजेंटेशन में देयर कुड बी लॉट ऑफ स्लाइड्स, लॉट ऑफ सब स्लाइड पॉइंट्स which can have labels, diagrams can have labels. तो जब सनसनी अप्लाई होती है, सेंसुअलनेस अप्लाई होती है, सेंसिटिविटी अप्लाई करते हैं इसको, ऑडियंस को अट्रैक्ट करते हैं, क्लिक एंड बेट, मार्केटिंग जब अप्लाई होती है लेबल को, तब वो हेडलाइन बनती है. द आइडिया इज योर प्रेजेंटेशन शुड नॉट हैव जस्ट बोरिंग लेबल्स, दे शुड बी ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड इनटू हेडलाइंस. Okay, then let's read, also just read these points here. Headings on charts should tell audience about how to think about the numbers. Very important. ठीक है, तो charts होते हैं, there are a lot of slides with charts, graphs, diagrams, but those diagrams should be well explained. If your diagram is not well explained and if you are using a poor labeling technique, people will again get bored. They will not know how to make sense of your numbers. So you should better label them as proper headlines, that what these numbers represent. Okay, read every word on the screen, then comment or expand on it. तो स्पीकर को क्या करना चाहिए, स्पीकर को जो स्लाइड पे है वो पहले बता दो, so that audience और उसका वो गैप दूर हो गया. But the idea is if you read the points on the slide first, then you are basically done and dusted. So now audience knows कि हाँ स्लाइड पे क्या है. चलो स्लाइड पे अभी ध्यान दे रहे थे, ऑडियंस सुन रही थी क्योंकि स्लाइड के बारे में आप बता रहे थे. स्लाइड हो गया, अभी फ्री हो गए, अभी ऑडियंस को आप अपने अभी आपकी तरफ ध्यान देंगे. राइट, ऑडियंस विल पे अटेंशन टू द स्पीकर. तो ये भी एक टेक्निक होता है to avoid that confusion between slide and verbal. Let's see another point here. Involve the audience. So this is, I think part of it is already covered. We saw tell the audience where you are going, right? So you talked about the agenda, you talked about the direction. In this case, it's more about interacting the audience. Okay, so let's just read the point. Follow what we learned. पहले ये पढ़ लेते हैं, and then I'll talk more. Face the audience when you present. तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, देखो, फॉर फिजिकल वर्कशॉप्स, फॉर फिजिकल सेशंस, फेस टू फेस, or you even in video sessions. So you face the audience, do eye contact with them so that they are connected and you are connected. Then look for interesting visual devices to present dry routine information. तो ये बहुत अच्छी टेक्निक है. ये एक वन ऑफ द टिप एंड ट्रिक है कि यू यूज अ विजुअल क्यू टू शो टू द ऑडियंस. तो समझो मैं किसी पेंटिंग के बारे में बता रहा हूँ और वो पेंटिंग में दिखा भी रहा हूँ लाकर सेशन में, फिजिकल पेंटिंग. आई हैव कैरीड द पेंटिंग एंड व्हेन द पॉइंट कम्स वो प्रॉप की तरह मैं यूज करता हूँ. So this is also called as a prop. So it's not verbal, it's something to see now because people can see the prop, right? Gets into the memory, gets into their skin. Now think of ways to involve the audience, right? How many ways you can do it? You can play games, obviously, quizzes, games, puzzles, then ask questions and make it interactive. Then invite people to guess the answers. Then add something extra, unexpected. So create some charisma, as I said, like add something extra, go an extra mile. And last but not the least, add drama. Make a little, element of mystery. Add a little showmanship there. Communicate in order to persuade and leave a mark. Right? So there are a lot of ways to do this. So this is like larger than life. So आप कुछ ऐसा करोगे सेशन में, like you will do some magic in the end. Some magicians will do that, or some good speakers will do something very unexpected in the end, right? Or they will show something unexpected in the end, or there is some surprise element in the end, which will leave a mark, which people will remember, right? So add a little drama. And last but not the least, finish strong. People will still remember only two durations. One is the peak experience, the other is the end experience. It's called as a peak end rule. Peak end rule is कि आपका peak पे जो experience आया वो आपको याद रहेगा, और last में क्या हुआ वो याद रहेगा. Now let's read these points. I'll just read the points and then we can talk a little about that. Leave something to remember by. Remember you by. तो last में कुछ ऐसा रखो that people will remember. Some important point, some good quote, some prop that you can show, right? Then close with a summary and strong proposition of recommendation. तो बहुत सारे sessions में what will happen, like sales presentations or decision making presentations, like I said, there will be a summary and then there will be a strong proposition. Call to action होगा. Download now. Right? Whatever you want to recommend in the session, there will be a strong recommendation in the end. Then for major presentations, look for a memorable, dramatic close. So as I said, add drama. Leave time for questions and prepare for questions. Very important. So yes, finish strong, another good idea, end with questions. So the speaker should prepare for questions. You should be able to anticipate some questions based on the topic that you're going to deliver. You should understand क्या पूछा जा सकता है, so that you can be prepared. If you don't know, no worries. You can tell audience to research and come back to them. But yes, you can leave some time for question. Then edit to shorten, recognize to clarify the message, and revise to master the content. So this is all about editing, right? So don't use fluffy slides, a lot of text, right? So the edit to shorten means the slide should be short. You should only write main points. You should have reorganized it well. Message should be clarified. Otherwise, your message will be lost. If there is too much content, if there is too detailed content, the audience may just lose track. So keep it concise, keep it clarified, use brilliant writing, use brilliant copywriting, editing, and revise to master the content so that people will remember the point strongly. Okay. So with this, we can finish strong on this slide.